What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G, the two-gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. Alright, my friends, so we are here with another Midday Monologue Monday. And what do I possibly have on my grognardian mind? The shirt is a little bit of a hint. What I want to talk about today is that there's been a few board games, card games, dice games that have been based on role-playing games. I love role-playing games almost as much as I really love board games and role-playing games, card games, dice games. I love them all, my friends. I'm a gaming maniac, but I really cut my teeth, so to speak, on role-playing games. And they are still my number one love of all tabletop adventures. Like I said, there's been a spade of games over the years, board games, that have been based on role-playing games. I mean, I can't even begin to count the amount of board games, dice games, card games that have been brought out to the market based on Dungeons and Dragons. There's a Pathfinder card game. There's a Villains and Vigilantes. Now that's an RPG callback to the 80s. A Villains and Vigilantes based card game. There's been a nice little mix of the two types of gaming, right? The hardcore role-playing and the slightly more casual tabletop. But they've crossed over, and I am curious to know what else can happen, but I am thinking about it in reverse, my friends. If I'm serving it. What board games do you think would make a good role-playing game? I have a thought on a couple of them. Well, we head over to the bench and we'll talk about it, my friends. Thank you for joining me here at the bench. I don't know, I think this might be rather quick. There's not a lot of detail I really feel like I have to get into. But this is a subject that's on my mind, so I decided to share it and see what you all thought about this idea. So yeah, as I said in the intro, there's been a spade of board games that are based on role-playing games. Pathfinder has the adventure card game with some expansions to it. Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, there's so many. There's the cooperative system games, there's infighting, there's Lords of Waterdeep. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. Against the Giants, it goes on and on. The amount of board games that are based on Dungeons and Dragons. Also, as I said in the beginning, there was a game in the 80s by Fantasy Games Unlimited called Villains and Vigilantes, created by Jeff D. and Jack Herman. And me and T-Bone, my buddies Dennis and Ray, when we were kids, we couldn't get enough of Villains and Vigilantes. We absolutely fell in love with the game. And there's a card game for it now. So I'm seeing this trend. It's not overly done, which is kind of good, but still a trend nonetheless, where role-playing games, because of their popularity and companies want to cash in on this, are being turned into board games. Not everyone has time for an RPG, especially since the best RPGs, arguably, at least to me, are long campaign-style games. Not everyone has time for that. But people still want to play Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, so they have board games for it. And this gives you the feel of the RPG without actually playing it. So it has its good and its bad sides to it, obviously. I mean, if you want to play Dungeons & Dragons, and you really want to play Dungeons & Dragons, Lords of Waterdeep isn't going to cut it, because it's not an RPG. Although it's a fantastic game, and everyone I know that's played it has absolutely loved it. That doesn't change the fact that playing Lords of Waterdeep is not playing Dungeons & Dragons. Now, what if we think about this, as I said earlier, in reverse, so to speak, right? What if we start thinking about it from the other angle? Board games that could be good RPGs. I mean, there's a few of them out there. Well, generally speaking, any RPG light board game, I'm thinking probably will make a decent real RPG, you know? But there's a couple that jumped out at me. Three games in my collection that when I was thinking of this subject, literally jumped right out at me. And said, Big John, me, pick me. So let me just mention this and why I think each of them would make a good role-playing game. In fact, a role-playing game I would go out and spend my money on. No order. There's no particular order. This is actually how I just popped out of my head onto the note paper, so to speak. See, there isn't even much. Not much. This is not much to be said. All right, so I was thinking that by Flying Frog Productions, I absolutely love Shadows of Brimstone, which is an RPG light. Actually, it feels like an MMO RPG board game, where you get to pick an archetype, and from there you get to advance in levels, and you even get, you get advancement trees, so you can become like a specialist in something. What second AD&D would have called a kit, what third would have called a prestige, right? Think about classes like that. Now, it also is a horror game set in the Old West. So right there, as I recently spoke about, I love mixing up the themes, mixing the genres is always very awesome. So you get that bonus right there. And it's begging to be made into a full RPG. It really is. I can just imagine a player's handbook for this, filled with character options and a little bit more in-depth rules. I totally picture that happening. There's been a few good Wild West RPGs, I think, going back to the earliest days of TSR. Boot Hill, I think that was Brian Bloom. I think that originally wrote that or wrote most of the rules for that game. There was Deadlands. I played that. I actually had the D20 version of Deadlands, which is very, very similar. When Shadows of Brimstone came out, it really reminded me of Deadlands. Maybe that's why it jumped in my mind first for this list, because it's already almost an RPG based on Shadows of Brimstone, though it came out before Shadows of Brimstone. So that's very similar, but not quite. It's not quite the same. So a full-blown Shadows of Brimstone RPG would totally kick butt. And they have enough material right now in expansions for the core game that if you took this board game and all its expansions, you would have a library of RPG books right away. It'd be really good. The excitement level there, the demons, the magic that's sort of in the land, it'd be very interesting. I would like to play that RPG. Now, another one. This is one of my favorite board games of all time. This is my number one, number two. It's always mixing around right there in the top two slots. And that is Fallen Land, a post-apocalyptic board game. And this is by Fallen Dominion Studios. Now, this would be a very unique version of an RPG because you wouldn't be playing just like the board game. You wouldn't be playing just a character. You would have a team of up to 5 that you're running as your characters, your team, right there, going out and exploring the land. It would open up the combat system, which is good to begin with, but it would open up the combat system, I think, amazingly. And the idea of adding classes to this game, as I hope an RPG would, or some sort of archetype that you would start a character off as, is going to be a good bonus, because that boon is going to give you a bonus in the beginning, so to speak, a little edge that you don't really have in the board game. And trust me, in Fallen Land, you need all the edge you can get. Because the object of the game is survival. You're running a town of survivors, and you're sending out 5 at a time to go out and explore, get new resources. Maybe if someone's been attacking you, put them down for that. So it has these exploration aspects that are really key to a lot of role-playing games. The whole aspect of finding things out, of exploring new areas. And this post-apocalyptic game, Fallen Land, is, I think, ripe for an RPG version of it. And I would love to see it. Me and the 20-Sided Warriors would love to have an RPG version of Fallen Land. Now, the last one that popped in my head is by Sentient Cow. These guys have a kick-ass game that they kickstarted quite successfully just recently. The game is available, as far as I know, available right now for non-backers to buy. And that game is from a series called Secret Unknown Stuff. And the first game in this series is Escape from Dulce, as the secret base in New Mexico, where human scientists and government scientists are working hand in hand with the alien menace. It is a great conspiratory game. It's a fantastic game based on the modern mythology of UFOs. And it is one of the most fun, maybe the most fun, dungeon delving style game I've either ever played or played in a really long time. I would have to sit down and really go through my thoughts on all the different dungeon delves I've played over the years to be sure. But off the top of my head, yes, one of, if not my favorite, dungeon delve game. And it's a sci-fi, it's a modern mythology, ufology, mythology kind of game, which is not what you expect when you think a dungeon delve. That's not what pops in your head. The characters in this game are unique and amazing. You're going to get a chance to play a family that's been fused together into one being, or you may be playing Amelia Earhart. What happened to her? She got caught by aliens. That's what happened to her. The cast of characters is amazing. The story is both fantastic and hysterical. This game has light RPG to begin with, because the characters do advance their skills. But I would love to see a full-blown RPG version of this. Sentient Cow is going out of their way right now. They are full steam ahead with Secret Unknown Stuff, and they have expansions coming out. They have a big box second game on their way coming out. They have a lot on their plate. I'm not expecting them to hear this video and go, you know what, Big Johnny G, you're right. That's going to be our next project. We're going to turn this into a full-blown RPG, which I know they would probably love to do because they're all D&D fans. But I'm quite sure they don't have the time for that right now. But that does not change, my friends, that I think Escape from Dulce would be an amazingly fun RPG-style game. So those are 3 from me right there. Shadows of Brimstone, Fallen Land, and Escape from Dulce. I think any of those 3 games would make an amazingly fun RPG game. I think they're ripe for expansions for the game itself, for the extra source books and things like that. It's perfect. So why is there a huge trend? Well, not huge, I'm blowing it out of proportion, but why is there a trend for RPGs to turn into board games, but we're not seeing that in reverse, huh? Why? I don't know, but I thought it was an interesting thought, and I wanted to share it with all of you and see what you have to think about that. Are you an RPG fan that plays board games? Are there any board games that you think would make interesting, good, or great role-playing games? Let us know. Let's talk about it. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for checking out what my thoughts on this subject is. A unique subject. I haven't heard of it before. But thank you for joining me, as well as going over to the Two Gun Pixie Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and checking out and seeing what we drop over there. Very cool when you come over to visit. Thank you very much. Of course, don't forget, we got the Two Gun Pixie Zazzle store. That's where this amazing shirt came from, by Gygax's beard. So we have a lot of RPG and nerd-inspired silliness on hats and shirts and hoodies and sandals and mouse pads and everything else I can slap an image on. So thank you for going and checking it out. Even if you didn't buy anything, thank you so much for going to check out the Two Gun Pixie Zazzle store. That is super cool of you. Oh, so cool. Thank you. But the biggest thank you of all, always, because I save it for the very last in the sign-off. Always, because it's that important. And that's thank all of you for coming right here. Not to Riverdale. Although that would be cool. But no, thank you all for coming right here to YouTube. Right here, our home. Our home on YouTube. You watch our videos, you subscribe to the channel, you like, you comment, and when we're lucky, you're going to share one of our videos. And that's the greatest way you can say thank you to me and the 20-Sided Warriors. So thank you all for everything you do for us. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie Presents Legendary Gaming. And my friends, I am out of here.